Hello and welcome back to Mueller Projects. Today I was going to talk about suspenders for tool belts. Some people may know what they are, some people may not. So when I started building about 14 years ago, basically a tool belt was a belt you put on around your waist with a whole lot of tools, and you hung a nail guard off it, and at the end of the day you would start getting a bit sore around waist, and yeah, you just didn't think much of it. Everyone just wore tool belts, and no one I knew wore suspenders on their tool belts. 3 or 4 years ago, I noticed a few people starting to wear them on Instagram and Facebook, etc. And I thought, why not give it a go? Did I feel like a bit of a dork initially working around people that didn't wear suspenders? Yes, but after wearing them for a few days and months and then even a couple of years, my back really thanked me for it. Especially when you're putting a lot of stuff on your tool belt, it's surprising how much that weight adds up. And by putting those suspenders on over your shoulders, spreads the load from your hips up to your shoulders. So the first set of suspenders I used were basically these Makita ones. There wasn't many options on the market when I was looking for them, and basically you had, I think there's the Makita ones, and you had the first Taurus ones, which were basically just a strap of leather with like a pad on each shoulder. And I looked at those, I thought they don't look that comfy, and so I went for the Makita ones. And these are, I think, about 4 years old, and I still use them from time to time. I've tried another couple other brands since just to compare them, and I'll sort of start talking about some of those, and then I'll break down some of the things I do like about each one and some of the negatives about them. So, end of last year, for a couple of months, I tried a pair of the Ox suspenders. They were good, quite a change from the Makita ones, really nice padding on the shoulders. One of the things I didn't like about them, even after a couple of months, is the leather on the sides and on the back was quite rigid. It wasn't nice soft leather. It felt like it was really cheap, like stiff leather, and even after a couple of months it didn't really soften up. That was the thing I didn't like about it. And then after a couple of months I actually went back to my Makita ones, and basically I ran those till I tried another brand which I'm going to talk about. So some people might know, if they've been following Instagram, brand Taurus, which is a New Zealand company. February this year they brought out an updated pair of suspenders as opposed to the old leather ones, or ones with a leather pad and then some strapping either side. And so they brought out a 4-point setup with a bit of padding on the shoulders that goes from basically the front of your chest over behind your back, and they were a 4-point harness. And I've been running these since, I think, end of February, early March, and I do find them very comfortable. I haven't actually put my Makita ones back on since I've been using these, as I've found these far more comfortable. One of the biggest differences I find with a 4-point harness versus a 3-point harness is the 4-point sort of sits at the front and at the back, and your tool belt sort of sits sort of fairly level around your body, hanging off 4 points. When it's off 3 points, obviously 2 at the front and 1 at the back, I found the pouches on either side tended to like slump down quite a bit, because it's quite a distance between being suspended at the front and suspended at the back. Obviously that varies on how people load their tool belt and how they wear their tool belt, etc. For myself, if I've got suspenders, my tool belt is not very tight. Most of the weight is on my shoulders. Some people I know wear their tool belt fairly snug, and the suspenders are just there to take a wee bit off the weight. But for me, if I'm wearing suspenders, I will loosen my belt, and most of the weight's on my shoulders. So that my tool belt sort of just sits there with quite a bit of room around my belt. One of the things I do like about the Taurus one is it's got this nice sternum strap with a bit of elastic in it that allows, just as you're moving up and down, climbing through scaffold, etc., it allows that to expand and go back without it being rigid. I do like it comes with a phone pouch. I put my earbuds in there sometimes, or my phone, depending on the jobs I'm working on. On this other side, it's got these elastic bit holders, which are really good, and then I've put a wee stealth mount magnetic bit holder on here as well. Thing I don't like about this one is these big chunky bits of metal. So on this one they've gone for like a 50mm wide strap that goes all the way from the buckle on your belt up to an adjustable belt below the padding, and then it goes all wide strapping, which I think they could have made it a bit skinny and it would have just been a bit more comfortable. I know they wanted to allow for adjustment, but you've got this massive long tail that, for me, I'm someone who's nearly 6 foot, and I wouldn't say I wear my tool belt in a strange way, and not many builders I know are over probably 6'2", and you've got this big slack of adjustment area here. It would have been nice if just they didn't have this on the end. I don't think you need it, and then you just cut it to suit, which very shortly I'm probably going to cut it here just because it gets quite annoying. And if they'd reduced all this buckle mechanism down to a nice wee strap, I think it would have been a lot nicer and just a bit easier. Possibly even go with like a wee plastic buckle. I don't know, that's just maybe my thoughts on it. One thing I do like though is I've got this nice wee swivel buckle on it, so that sometimes as you're putting your tool belt on, it can get twisted, and basically it just untwists itself and just sits nice and flat on your body again. So I've sort of worn this for basically half a year now, close to, and I've found this really comfortable to use. I've gone over some of the negatives about the straps. That's not a make or break for me. Like, I've been wearing these because the Ox ones didn't really like them too much. I haven't tried the newer ones. I think they've updated them slightly. But even feeling them in the shop, that leather is still very, very rigid, as opposed to these ones are nice and soft. Yes, it's webbing, it's polyester, it's not a leather-based product, which is quite different. But yeah, that's just my comparison. Going back to the Makita ones, which you can still buy, I did like the fact it was a nice plastic small buckle. So you can see the strap here, real nice and small. All it needed is a swivel on this point here, and that would be fine. I did find these with this quite thick padding tended to sweat a bit in summer, but apart from that, they were still a really good suspender system. Would have been nice if they had some attachment points up here. I believe the new version has a couple of Velcro things up here with a couple of pencil slots, but yeah, I haven't got one of the new ones to compare, but I have seen them in the shop, and yeah, they have updated this version as well. So that's just sort of my 5 cents onto that. So that's just a brief overview of the 3 suspender systems that I've used, some of the negatives and the pros for each one. If you've got any more questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer them. Till the next time, Mueller Projects out.